not because he's been one of the most important people in the history of Italian literature, not only because of his works themselves, but also for the contribute he's done for the making of a unitary Italian language. He was born in Milan in 1785, and throughout his life, he's been to many significant places. The first of which was Lecco, in which he was born and grew up, from the daughter of Cesare Beccaria and a law noble. This place is very important because it is also where he located the Betrothed, which is his most famous work. Later on, he moved to Paris, which was another important place he's been because of his sympathy with the Napoleon Empire. And later on, he came back to Italy, which is also a very important part of his life because coming back in Florence and Milan, he contributed to the Italian Enlightenment until he died in Milan in 1870.
Do you know that Italy wasn't a united country until the middle 19th century? Because of that, the people in our country used to speak different dialects. And so when he first wrote the Betrothed, he wrote them in the Lombard dialect. But 20 years later, he rewrote the novel in the newly born Italian language to contribute to the unification of the country. The Betrothed is about two guys, Renzo and Lucia, who wanted to get married, but a rich man wanted also Lucia for himself, so he managed to prevent the marriage. But a friar helped Lucia to escape in Monza and Renzo to escape in Milan, but there he was involved in the popular protest, so he had to escape in the Venice territory. Meanwhile, Lucia was kidnapped by a man who was allied to the villain, but after that the kidnapper converts and frees her. At the end, the Black Flag arrived and fixed everything. So Renzo and Lucia met in a hospital and married, and the villain died.
Thank you.
So, other than being a great poet and writer, Manzoni has also been one of the most influential political figures of that time. In fact, since he was born, he was into the political world, since he was the grandson of Cesare Beccaria, one of the greatest enlightened thinkers of Italy. And he even went to Paris when Paris was the capital of the French Empire and the French Revolution. So he was a great enlightenment thinker. But later in his life, he converted to the Catholicism. And I think you might not know it, but enlightenment is quite anti-clerical. And we can see all of these changes in the program, and it's very interesting for this reason too. And in his final part of his life, he even became a senator of the Italian New Golden State because he fought very much for the Italian unification in a literary way. In fact, as we have already seen, that he rewrote his the Betrothed in the Italian language. So he fought very much for unification of the language.
And that's the end of Manzoni.
Thank you. Thank you for
Next
information.
Next is our group with Gino Bartali. Bartali, sorry. Bartali.
I am Maria Sole, and we are going to talk about Gino Bartali, who was a famous cyclist, but was also important for the world. In fact, he was one of the most famous cyclists in Italy of the 30s and 40s, but he was also a war hero because during the Second World War, he carries numerous false documents for the Jews, and he also hid some persecuted citizens. Gino Bartali was born in Ponteima near Florence in Tuscany on the 18th of July 1913 and died in Florence on the 5th of May 2000. He was an Italian professional cyclist from 1934 to 1954, winning Giro d'Italia in 1936, 1937 and 1936. And also Tour de France in 1938 and 1938. His biggest enemy was Fausto Coppi.
Can I ask you to stand a bit nearer because we can't hear you well enough.
Quindi, near to her.
After the beginning of the war, from September of 1943 to June of 1944, he became a member of a clandestine organization named Belasem that helped the Jews against the fascists. Gino's task in the organization was to carry false documents in his bicycle to save the Jews that lived in Assisi. Assisi was a safe city during the war. By the end, because of that, he was wanted by the police, so he evacuated in Tuscany, where he stayed for 5 months, hidden by relatives and friends. By the end of the war, he saved around 800 of Jews. In 1926, the President of the Republic awarded Gino Bartali's wife the gold medal for civil merit because he was an example of great spirit of sacrifice and also human solidarity. And in 2011, the scientific committee of the Garden of Ratus of Padua named him Ratus of the World. In 2013, he was declared Ratus of the Nation of Expansion. And in 2018, he was nominated Honorary Citizen of Jerusalem. Good is done, but is not said, and certain medals hang on the soul, not on the jacket. We choose this quote because we think that's one of the reasons why Gino is important for Italy and Italians. We can see that he was a really humble person that didn't want to show everyone what he did, and thought that some things should be kept for yourself in your heart.
Okay, and that is the end of our presentation about Gino. And finally, we have a group who's going to be speaking to you about Samantha Cristoforetti.
Hi, I'm Alice.
Hello.
I'm Martina. I am Lisa. Hi. Today we're talking about Samantha Cristoforetti, who is an astronaut, and she's the first Italian woman in ESA, which stands for European Space Agency. She also set the record for the longest uninterrupted space flight with 199 days in space. And so we think that she's really inspirational. She was born in 1977 in Milan, and then she grew up in Trento. And then she graduated at the Technical University of Munich. And actually, when she was at high school instead, she spent a year as an exchange student in the USA.
And her dream has always been to become an astronaut, and she also always wants to learn new languages. For example, at the moment she's learning Chinese.
She spent 4 months in Toulouse working on an experimental project in aerodynamics, and she also wrote her master thesis at the University of Technical Technologies in Moscow. She graduated from the Accademia Aeronautica in Pozzuoli in 2005, and she became one of the first women to be a lieutenant and fighter pilot at the Italian Air Force. She can speak 5 languages: German, Italian, French, Russian, and English.
The career. She joined the Italian Air Force in 2001, but she left in 2019. In 2009, she was selected as an ESA astronaut. In March 2012, she was assigned to fly as flight engineer. And in 23rd November 2014, she has been launched from the Cosmodrome of Baikonur, and she sent her record 199 days in orbit, which was a picture is the Star City in Russia, and it was so important. It's so important for the astronaut training, and she wrote it in her book, Diary of an Astronaut.
And she says that the most important thing when you become a successful person is to be humble and forgiving with yourself when you fail. In fact, she says that she became an astronaut because she had a good luck on her side.
So from now till spring 2022, Samantha will be training for her next mission to the ISS, the International Space Station. She will be training at the ISS Astronaut Center at Cologne in Germany, where she's living right now with her family. But her training will be completed at the NASA's Johnson Center in Houston, Texas. And a quote from an interview she had about this next space mission is that for her, going back to the ISS is going back to a home that's away from home. So, and this always remained her dream to become an astronaut, and now she's able to make it come true. And right now she's also training to perform some experiments in the International Space Station for new discoveries for science.
And that is the end of our presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We got so much information that we have to digest it, but very
a lot, yes.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you very much.
Okay, and which group needs to be the administrator now?
I think we can pass it to school number 13, then we'll finish.
1 second. I need to find the right screen. School number 13.
Yeah.
Okay. Paula, help me.
You can share your screen and show us your presentation.
I'm trying to make you
the permission.
School number 13, that one. Non siamo. Chi è l'organizzatore? Ah no, scusami, Vandor è organizzatore, non noi. Vandor is the organizer, not us. we can't do anything. You let us share the screen, but you are